Good afternoon. My name is Emily. There is nothing quite like arriving at the hospital after a suicide attempt to make you feel like a complete failure. You are still alive, which was not the desired effect, and now it's even worse because everyone knows that you were too weak to go through with it. The night that it happened to me, I was sweating and shaking and breathing too fast. They took me back behind several sections of locked doors and they asked me to strip naked. They took away all my personal belongings and then they dressed me in green hospital scrubs. They christened me with a new identity, unstable psychiatric patient. The hospital is not a healing place, even though it's where they tell you you're supposed to go when you're in crisis, as though a 5-day stint in semi-prison could somehow magically cure a lifetime of depression, anxiety, and self-injury. It's actually pretty traumatizing. They held me down against the bed and they told me I would never get to go home if I didn't stop crying. They drilled a grid of bars over the window in my room. They laughed at me as I stumbled on the way to the bathroom, and they watched me while I peed. They shamed me for wanting to die. After a few days, you figure out how to string together a convincing enough story so that they'll let you go. The social worker comes by and tells you some trite platitude about living in the present, and then you make the uncomfortable transition home. Everyone walks on eggshells around you. And you make up different stories to tell the people at work and school, and you pretend like everything is fine, even though you have never felt this alone in your entire life, and you still wish you were dead. I came away from that experience believing what they told me, that I was mentally ill and would require medication for the rest of my life in order to function. I began to internalize this new identity as a sick mental health patient. I floated numbly between doctor's appointments and therapy appointments, taking their pills, doing their worksheets. I started to imagine a life in which I would never work any type of meaningful job or ever live independently or have a romantic partner. College seemed like a total waste of time. Each new provider I saw gave me a new label, a new diagnosis. First, it was just depression. Then it was unspecified mood disorder because they weren't sure. Then it was bipolar disorder. Then it was borderline personality disorder because a lot of outspoken women get that label, right? And over time, I just developed a huge resentment toward all of them. So my anger over time, there was still a small seed of hope inside of me, one that I didn't even know about at that time. And I was desperate. I wanted more for myself. I wanted to know that I could live another kind of life. And so I scoured the internet for accounts of hospitalizations and suicide attempts, trying to make meaning from my own experience and trying to learn and see that I was not alone. I checked books out of the library. It wasn't until I attended my first depression support group that I met people in real life who had gone through similar experiences as me. And for the first time, I learned that I was not alone. And so I began to question my doctor and the medication that she prescribed. And I decided that I would go back to school and finish my degree in psychology. When I finished that degree, I applied and was accepted to graduate school in social work. And shortly after that, every short-term goal I had became a reality, because that's when things first started to fall into place for me. Therapy role play exercises came naturally to me because I had been in therapy all my life, right? And like many of my classmates, I felt an intense desire to fight and change this system and to bring love and compassion back into the work that we do. And so over time, every goal that I had became a reality before my eyes. I moved into my own apartment. I stopped self-harming. I was named Master of Social Work Student of the Year. I graduated. I adopted a cat. I landed the dream job. I pursued and obtained clinical licensure. And now, I work as a therapist at the very hospital system that once held me captive on suicide precautions. It hasn't always been easy. Even moments of joy and success are fleeting. Sometimes I fall back into lousy habits. I feel things more deeply than most. But the difference is that now I can view that as a strength rather than an illness or a deficit. And the other cool thing is that I get to use it all in my work to connect more deeply and authentically with the people I serve. And those relationships bring me intense gratitude and joy, enough even to sustain a desire to live. And just like that, my deepest shame became my greatest strength. That small seed of hope grew into a full, complex, but happy life. Thank you.